How's it going, everybody? Dr. Coin back at it again, and welcome to the Coin Cave. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a bit of a trip through time and looking at one of the more controversial coins ever minted in American history. And that coin is going to be the 1925 Stone Mountain Memorial half dollar. Now, before I start breaking this all down, I would really appreciate if you guys would hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you have not and you would like to see more coin collecting and coin roll hunting videos just like this. And then what do you say I explain why this coin is so controversial and why it might ruffle a few feathers nowadays. Now, before we get into the specifications and details of the Stone Mountain Memorial half dollar, first we need to take a trip back to the year 1861. April 12, 1861, Civil War breaks out in the United States. The North and South is split into two factions, the South being the Confederates and the North being the Union Army. The central cause of this Civil War is slavery, the North fighting for the abolishment of slavery and the South fighting to retain their right to keep their slaves. The American Civil War raged on for an astonishing 4 years and did not end until the year 1865. It has the second highest death toll of all of the American wars, just under World War II, coming in at 214,938 deaths, just under World War II's 291,557. The Confederate Army was vastly outnumbered by the North, but due to the brilliant military tactics of Generals Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson, they were able to hold out for a long campaign which the North did not expect. In the year 1865, the Confederates had been beaten back. General Robert E. Lee signed a surrender in a Virginia courthouse to Union General Ulysses S. Grant, and slavery had been abolished in the United States finally. Nowadays, when we look back at the Civil War, we think of it as a battle between good and evil, but things aren't always what they seem on the surface. A lot of this was capitalizing on situations. The North was fighting for a lot of different industries, and the blacks gaining their freedom were a byproduct of a lot of other things the North was vying for. And it's not that they weren't fighting for their freedom, but it wasn't the only thing that they were fighting for. And this was also a very confusing war because you had brother fighting sister, fathers fighting sons, and people fighting their fellow countrymen. So after the war was finished and the lines were drawn, it was a little strange to get back to normal. Now, a lot of people learned to put this in the past, and even though your next door neighbor may have killed half of your family just a few years past, it was all about letting bygones be bygones and moving on for the greater sake of the nation of the United States of America. Now, the Stone Mountain Memorial half dollar was an American 50-cent piece struck in 1925 at the Philadelphia branch of the United States Mint. Its main purpose was to raise money on behalf of the Stone Mountain Confederate Monumental Association for the Stone Mountain Memorial near Atlanta, Georgia. The coin features a depiction of Confederate Generals Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson on the obverse and the caption, "Memorial to the Valor of the Soldier of the South" on the reverse. The piece was also originally intended to be in memory of the recently deceased President Warren G. Harding, but no mention of him appears on the coin. In the early 20th century, proposals were made to carve a large sculpture in memory of General Lee on Stone Mountain. The owners of Stone Mountain agreed to transfer title on condition the work was completed within 12 years. Gutzon Borglum, the same sculptor who had designed the 50-cent piece, was engaged to design the memorial. A Ku Klux Klan member, he proposed expanding it to include a colossal monument depicting Confederate warriors Lee, Jackson, and Confederate President Jefferson Davis leading them. The construction of this monument would prove expensive, and the association advocated the issuance of a commemorative half dollar as a fundraiser for the memorial. Congress approved it, though to appease Northerners, the coin was also made in honor of Harding, under whose administration work had commenced. Borglum designed the coin, which was repeatedly rejected by the Commission of Fine Arts. All reference to Harding was removed from the design by order of President Calvin Coolidge. The association sponsored extensive sales efforts for the coin throughout the South. Though these were hurt by the firing of Borglum in 1925, which alienated many of his supporters, including the United Daughters of the Confederacy, a 1928 audit of the fundraising showed excessive expenses and misuse of the money. Construction had halted the same year. A scaled-down sculpture was eventually completed in 1970 because of the large quantities issued. Over 1 million remain in existence. The Stone Mountain Memorial half-dollar remains inexpensive compared to its other U.S. commemorative counterparts. Now, as far as the dimensions go, it weighs 12.5 grams. It has a diameter of 30.61 millimeters. It has a thickness of 2.15 millimeters. The edge is reeded. It is composed of 90% silver, 10% copper. It contains 0.36 troy ounces of silver. I mentioned earlier is minted in the year 1925, and all of these coins were minted at the Philadelphia Mint and do not contain a mint mark. The first 1,000 Stone Mountain Memorial half-dollars were struck on a metal press at the Philadelphia Mint on January 21, 1925, the 101st anniversary of General Jackson's birth. Borglum and officials of the association were present. The first piece struck was mounted on a plate made of gold mined in Georgia for presentation to President Coolidge. The second was mounted on a silver plaque and presented to Secretary Melton. The remainder of the first 1,000 were placed in numbered envelopes. Some were presented to the officials or those involved in the Stone Mountain project. Between January and March 1925, the mint struck 2,310,000 of the authorized mintage of 5 million, plus 4,709 pieces reserved for inspection by the 1926 Assay Commission. Except for the first 1,000, which were paid for in gold, those pieces were sent to the Federal Reserve Bank in Atlanta, which advanced the funds to purchase them from the government. The coins were to be distributed through banks, and the Federal Reserve System cooperated by moving coins as needed, through the association's expense. The association set up local affiliates with organizations through the South, as well as Oklahoma and the District of Columbia. Each state's governor served as a nominal head of the organization within his jurisdiction. On July 20th, 1925, at a meeting of the Conference of Southern Governors called for the purpose, they or their representatives resolved that the association allocate sales quotas among the states on the basis of white population and bank deposits. The pieces were to be sold at the price of $1, and local organizations were to generate promotions for selling them. The overall drive to sell half-dollars was dubbed the Harvest Campaign. It began with the governor's meeting in July 1925. Georgia Governor Clifford Walker told his colleagues that the South would be eternally disgraced if it failed to accept the challenge of meeting the sales goals of 2,500,000 coins. Nevertheless, the governors devoted little time to the campaign. One means of fundraising that Harvest Campaign administrators decided on was to counterstamp some of the coins for sale at premium prices. The letters and numbers are believed to have been punched by the association as they are almost entirely uniform. Some were given a state abbreviation and a number and were sent to be auctioned in various towns. Gibbs reported that the counterstamp pieces sent to South Carolina sold for an average of $23, ranging from $10 to $110. In 1930, Secretary Mellon reported that although no Stone Mountain Memorial half-dollars were held by the mint, it was his understanding that large quantities of the piece were in the possession of banks. Eventually, arrangements were made to return 1 million half-dollars to the mint for melting. In spite of this, the state of Georgia still had Stone Mountain Memorial half-dollars for sale at its exhibit at the 1933 Century of Progress Exposition. Many more were dumped into circulation in the 1930s. A large quantity of half-dollars that were once owned by a private collector were sold for $3.25 each through a Georgia bank in the 1950s to finance a building in honor of his mother, a Southerner in Richmond, Virginia. A total of 1,314,709 memorial half-dollars were distributed after deducting those pieces that were melted. Now, as far as the coin itself, there is nothing racist really or controversial about it, and the design is not all that special or fancy, and it is not all that crazy of a value, but it is more the generals depicted on this coin that hold all the controversy. I know in the South right now, people are going crazy with tearing down statues of Confederate generals. They call it cancel culture, and I am not huge into cancel culture. I really appreciate history. I think this is all a history lesson, and the only way we can avoiding these things and repeating our mistakes of the past is being able to see these things and to study them. And if we do not have any of these monuments to the past, we are bound to repeat these mistakes in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up. Please subscribe for more like this. I would love to be able to make more videos just like this on Canadian and American coins. If you have any suggestions, any tips, or if you would like to just leave any input on this video, please leave it down in the comments. And other than that, I would like to thank you all so much for watching. And until the next one, everybody, peace out and have a good